Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Joe playing the Tier 5 ARP Haruna. This is a mixed tier game with Tiers 5 and Tiers 4. Pretty good matchmaking. There is a CV, of course. Most games in this tier range are going to have at least one CV. I guess there's a silver lining here for Joe is that there aren't two enemy CVs to contend with, which is really not at all unusual. DD threats, Jaguar, very fast. Matsuki, very stealthy. Zhenwei, well, I wouldn't say there's anything particularly exceptional about that ship. It does have very stealthy torps, so there's that to consider. Furitaka has torpedoes. Phoenix has torpedoes. Duguay, well, pronounce that one however you like. A lot of torpedoes on the other side is, I guess, the point I'm trying to make. And I imagine Langley will probably have those torpedo planes out on occasion as well. I don't know a whole lot about this game, other than that Joe said it started very slow. And there's nothing unusual about that, I suppose. Tier 5 battleship. Generally speaking, not a good idea to rush into the middle of everything right at the beginning of the game. Haruna is a Congo clone, if you're unfamiliar. They have a lot of speed, pretty hard-hitting guns. Typical of Tier 5 battleships. Not all that accurate. But if those shells do land on the Phoenix, they will probably hurt. Yeah, that's about what I would have expected. Nice shot, Joe. You can see Phoenix is turning out. Having decided maybe it's not really a good idea to run in a straight line, flat broadside to an enemy battleship or two. Friendly Kuma's running ahead and almost certainly going to be blapped here very shortly. Kuma's got his hydro active, but it's a little late. It looks like Bertan is focusing on the other battleship over here. If he were to focus the Kuma, it would probably spell the end for the Kuma. Yeah, now the Kuma's taking some fire. Probably not going to be long for this world. Still has AP loaded here, but he does put out a shot on the Jaguar. Good idea. If you can get a shot off on a DD, take it. Joe is, at least in my opinion, wisely stepping back from all the torpedo threat. Down goes the Kuma. As expected, it's, well, it's a Kuma. Very fun to play. It's essentially a really big destroyer with a citadel. But if you push it like that, it's very often going to spell the end. If that hits, that's probably it. Oh, so disappointing. 3 hits and 3 overpens, and the other ARP battleship finishes them off. So the good guys are down 1 ship, they've lost Kuma. The bad guys are down 1 ship, they've lost Phoenix. But if you look at the sidebars, you know, the red and call it teal, I guess, colored rectangles. The Duguay, Mitsuki, they've taken considerable damage, as has the Furitaka and the Jaguar. In terms of hit points, looks to me like the good guys have at least a little bit of an advantage here. Now looking at the minimap and the positioning, we've got good guys kind of stretched out on the 4 line on the north end of the map. There, Duguay is pushing in. I don't imagine he's going to be alive much longer. He's going to have 2 battleships firing on him. And a couple of DDs, although right now the DDs are behind the island from the Junway, so they don't really have anything else to shoot. And they're going to be spotted by aircraft, and I'm sure they're going to open up. So Duguay is probably hoping to get torpedoes on the Cavour. Hopefully Joe will be able to land a shell or 2 here on the Jaguar. Nope. Tier 5 dispersion. It's brutal. Joe's got the attention of 3 ships now. Karlsruhe is taking his life in his hands, running out there like that. Joe's trying to make use of the island here. Furtaka looks to be turning in. That might just fly right over his nose there. That hurt. You said it was a slow start, Joe, but there's a lot of action here. Meanwhile, the Duguay on the other side, on the bad guys' team, did go down. But the good guys lost the Cavour. I was watching what was going on with Joe, so I didn't see whether or not that was the result of torpedoes from the cruiser push or not. Got 2 friendly DDs taking on the Junway. I think Bretagne and Omaha are overextended myself. But if their DDs win this fight without getting sunk, that'll allow them to turn and come back the other way. Miyogi's crossing broadside. That might allow Joe a nice opportunity to pick up another citadel or 2. T-22 takes out the enemy Koenig. Enemy Koenig takes out the friendly Nicholas. Now you notice Joe is sequential firing. In a case like that, when you get a full broadside battleship, myself, I prefer to double tap and get all the guns to fire at once. I will occasionally, at longer ranges, occasionally I use sequential fire and kind of move the reticule around a little bit. Boy, that hurt. Just in an effort to cover more area. It looks like that Miyogi's going down to torpedoes here. That's a very nice torpedo drop. Might be a good idea to use the heel. Yep. Now, you've got to watch this island. Yeah, I think I probably would have kept the guns rotated the other way and tried to get a shot off on that enemy cruiser, but looks like Joe's going to fall back here and get behind this island. Ultimately, may be a really good decision. And it looks like the bad guys have now switched their focus primarily to the battleship that's a little closer to them, and or the Karlsruhe. So I was thinking that you know, if he kept his guns the other way on the starboard side and just ran kind of toward the map edge a little bit, he could maybe have been able to finish off the Furutaka, but falling back does allow him to reposition, which is probably a really good idea. Good guys are down 5 ships, bad guys are down 4 ships. I think those are going to land out ahead of the Bretagne. So, taking a look at the scoreboard here. Good guys have 411 points, bad guys 391. Pretty close match. And the other battalion is showing broadside. So if you're new to battleships or newer to the game, you want to look for ships that are showing you side when you're in a battleship. Now, you're not always going to find it, and sometimes you're going to find targets where it makes sense to maybe aim a little higher, try to get into their superstructure, or maybe pen through the decks. And at long range, you're going to have plunging fire, which can help avoid shells bouncing against angled opponents. It's pretty hard to land shells from this range unless somebody's sailing in a straight line, and even then dispersion will troll you pretty well. Joe is making use of cover, at least as best he can. He's got a Congo on the other side. I think maybe it would be a good idea, given the range, to help his Omaha and Langley and Wyoming to finish off that Congo, but he'd have to turn his ship quite a bit to starboard in order to do that, unless he wants to rotate his guns all the way around. So maybe it's best just to stay where he's at. John Way goes down. Bad guys are now up a ship and up, what, 55 points. CV drops some fire on Joe's decks. That might hurt. Yeah, it did. Not enough, but it did. Dan's going to turn out again. Well, at least it looked like he was going to turn out again. He's just kind of sailing in a straight line. Now he's turning out. And Joe still might be able to get it. That's too far. Yep, those are all going to land down ahead of it. Karlsruhe goes down. Bad guys are down to 7 ships. Good guys only have 5. Joe's going to have to pull off a heroic shot here to finish off that battalion. And then, in my opinion, he should probably run toward his cap, because the enemy DDs are almost certainly pushing in closer to get an opportunity to torp him. Although I guess it's possible that they're chasing down the other ARP battleship. Now, turning the way that he's turned, he's going to end up having to show broadside to the other battalion. Let's just hope the other battalion is otherwise occupied. It's kind of going more nose in. That'll help as far as angling against the other battalion, but I don't see the other battalion anywhere. It's got to be around. Eventually, that battalion's going to sail in a straight line long enough for Joe to finish him off. One citadel and probably do the trick. A little bit more chip damage, but more than likely one more volley, and that'll spell the end for that battalion. And you can see Joe is showing broadside now to the other battalion. And his friendly drops. That might have done the trick right there. It did. Good guys are down to 3 ships, down 150 points. Bad guys still have 5 ships. 3 of them are destroyers. That's going to make this very tough for Joe. Friendly CV is gone. I think, were it me, I'd probably be loading a G right now. One good shot, and then Matsuki's probably going to be dead. He doesn't have enough hit point. There we go. Nice shot. Well done, Joe. He does repair. So let's hope there are not torpedoes from the Matsuki on their way. Good guys now 3 ships, bad guys 4 ships. Bad guys have a 75-point lead, thereabouts. If Joe's able to take on this battleship and win, that puts him in position to be able to win the game. So, let's take a look. 2 citadels, 30 shells on target, 8 aircraft shot down, 2 enemy ships sunk, 1.3 million potential damage. And you'll see so many players in this game who will, at the end of a losing game, say, well, you know, I did 200,000 damage, so I did my part. Well, no, because if you didn't sink anything, you really didn't help. Because whatever you were shooting at was still able to do damage to the guys on your team. And how many of your friendlies got sunk by them because you were damage farming and looking for somebody who had the most hit points so that you could rack up a high damage score? Ridiculous as it sounds, I'm pretty well convinced there are players who focus on doing damage rather than on sinking ships. Joe's doing a good job of staying angled up here, trying to minimize the damage. That Bertan's showing a lot of side. Let's hope Joe's manages to land a citadel here. Bertan's turning out, so this might be about right. Well, no citadel, but 3 pens for 10,000 damage. As long as Joe stays angled, that Bertan's going to have a hard time doing a lot of damage to him. You can see he bounced some shells there. And the Bertan just insists on sailing broadside. You know, probably a newer player. There it is. Nice shot, Joe. One more like that, and that Bertan's in big trouble. Yeah. Pen to the nose, it looked like to me. All right. Looks like Joe's decided I'll just use the front guns. I'll keep angled. And Bertan is actually turning back this way, so there's going to be an opportunity to get broadside shots on that Bertan again. And this could be it. This series of volleys. Yeah. Dropped a little short there. It's probably going to be a little high, but you never know. Pretty decent damage. Lost a rear turret there. I think I probably would have waited to repair just because I know there are aircraft coming in with torpedoes. If you flood right now, you're gonna take a lot more damage because you can't repair it right away. But that could spell the end. Oh, so close. Well, let's hope Joe doesn't flood here. That's got to be it for the Bertan. Yeah. What happened with the torpedoes? Did the CB drop too close? Is that what happened there? Jaguars in the friendly cap. Omaha and Wyoming, I'm sure, are putting shells on him. Joe's trying to maneuver to avoid the torp. Looks like he's going to eat the torp. He is flooding. He's got 35 seconds till his repairs back up. That's what I was talking about a minute ago. Jaguar finishes off the Omaha. Good guys are now winning. Why? Both teams have 2 ships left. Well, the reason for that is the different ship types give you different amounts of points. And battleships are worth more points than cruisers or destroyers. And since the good guys have 2 battleships left, they do have slightly more points. Now, as long as the Jaguar is in the friendly cap, the good guys are not able to get any points. So the Jaguar really should be sitting at the south edge of the friendly cap. That would be a guaranteed win for his team. But if he's not aware of that, if he's a newer player or maybe not the sharpest pencil in the box, he will not go into the cap. And that will allow Joe's team to win. And Joe, you earned it, buddy. Sank 3 ships. Aircraft over you a lot of the game. 15 aircraft shot down. And 14 seconds to go. All the Jaguar has to do is just poke his head in that cap. That's it. Yep. Way to go, Joe. Congratulations on the win, buddy. Thanks a lot for sending the replay. Those of you watching with me, appreciate it. I'll see you next time.